everyone, this is Kelly and I am here for the last part of the little series that I've done on all the decks that I would take going away for 2 weeks, all of the bits and bobs such as crystals and oils and things like that that I would take and setting up my sort of traveling altar box, so to speak. And then the last part of the series was art supplies. So this was a little bit more difficult because obviously taking everything that you need or think you're going to need in a 2-week period, it takes basically what I was trying to accomplish is to create a little studio in a box. So I wanted, obviously you can throw a watercolor palette and a pad of paper into your backpack and you can go, right? That's pretty simple. But I'm definitely looking to be going back and forth between 2 places, and I want to I have some projects in mind coming up, and I don't really want to I want to have basically everything that I would want in a compact box that can be taken with me. So this of course involved mucho research, and this was my treat for myself this year, which is a Guerrilla Painter's box. There's part of me that's kind of panicked that maybe I've got, I should have gone even smaller than this, but the next smaller is quite smaller where you're just literally throwing that in your backpack, which I can do really without having to have a special box to do so. So, and I'm not really planning on hiking. This is more, again, a studio in a box. So this is a box made out of wood. It has leather straps, leather handle strap here. It's got rubber feet so it can sit on a table, but it has this plate here to be able to put onto a tripod. Now it needs a hefty tripod to be able to hold it because it is quite sturdy and heavy. I have a couple given, I used to do portrait photography, so I have some good tripods. So that's what this is. So now I'm not sure this is going to work very well because, to be honest, this is going to get in the way. But I'm going to scooch it down this way for a minute just to show one of the reasons that there's lots of things called pochade boxes. However, most of those are built for oil painting, acrylic painting, not so much watercolor. And while I do intend to eventually do more acrylic and really more pastel painting, I did want it to, primarily I use watercolor. So you unscrew this and it can lay completely flat. Now I can't because my tripod is right there, but it can lie completely flat. And I'm gonna put it upright though so we can kind of see what it's doing here. So it can lie completely flat, which works great for watercolor. So you have this ability to slide things in and out. This is an addition that you can then put your painting on to paint, no matter what size it is that you want. You can actually go really big and go past the size of the box itself for larger paintings. These go up to hold it. This is sort of a little additional thing to go in here to allow for bigger palettes or to raise your palette up. I actually don't paint very large. In fact, I mostly paint this kind of smaller size. I might paint that size little. So I don't paint really large. And so this is probably less necessary for me because what I would do is just use this board, put it in the, tape, because, I watercolor, so I would be taping my piece onto there and sliding it in here, and then it's just right here and I'm able to paint certainly to the size in which I normally paint. If I wanted to go upright and go a little bit larger, then I might be happy to have that other piece. But for the most part, that's how I paint. So I've got some different ones cut, watercolor paper cut back here. I've got this again is meant not for me to paint on, but for me to tape to. And then this just goes in here in case I want to use that. That, you know, may be something I end up regretting purchasing because that was an addition, but you know, it is what it is. So that's this. It can again lay all the way flat, which is something that I need for watercolor painting. The other thing that I did get was this that flips, adds in and flips on. This is the smaller version. There is one that can go with this box with two bigger ones that flip out to the side. I didn't really feel like that was something necessary and it would actually get in my way. So I ended up getting the one that was for the smaller sets because I do like having this, and as you can see I put metal magnet sticky right here and here. I will show you in a second why I did that, but this allows you to stick your brushes in here. You can hang things, let me slide this down a little bit. You can hang things off of here. It just kind of gives you a way to get stuff out of this surface. Now if you're somebody who acrylic paints or oil paints, this is actually the palette. So you would actually have, you could either put a piece of glass here, or you could actually put your paints right here and mix right on this wood palette. You know, even if I did that someday down the road, I probably would have a separate glass thing sitting on here. I don't think I would mix on the wood. I don't particularly like that idea, but you could, and I've seen people do that. But I do not, right now, this is really keyed for watercolor and pastels. So, yeah, so we have this going on here. When you pull this out, we have everything that, or I have everything that I think I need. Again, I have taken this with me, but I haven't used it yet. So, you know, we'll come back to that and see how that ends up going. But what I have on this side, this I purchased for the separately to go in here. You can take off one of these little bumper bars and be able to stack two of these on top, but right now I might do that eventually, but right now I was able to fit my whole set of Sennelier, I think these are Sennelier. It's like a landscape set of pastels, and then I also put some a couple of pieces of harder pastel there. I'm not entirely sure on that color selection. That this is, you know, this is a we'll see. I really have enjoyed pastel painting in the past. It's not something that I do very often. It's just messy, and you know, my art space is limited, and right now is very set up for watercolor, and I just haven't gotten around to really, and I loved when I did work with it. I really loved working with pastels. And I have a plan for not the deck that I'm currently working on, which is all sketching, but further down the road, a more grief journey, healing based oracle deck that I kind of already have envisioned that will be maybe mixed media between watercolor and pastels. And so I do want to have access and start kind of working a little bit more with pastels, and when I can sit outside and do that and the chalky mess is kind of blowing out in the wind versus all over my apartment, you know, I hope to spend a little bit more time with pastels. So I was happy that I could get, because I have a set of half pastels of the Sennelier, and they all fit in of this landscape set. They all did fit in here, and so those can go there. I am able, you know, when I don't have, if I don't have two of these, I am able to have two sets of watercolor palettes. So, and I could actually get more, which I'll show in a minute. All of my watercolors are in metal pans. All but one, actually. I think my Sennelier is not, but most of all besides that are in metal tins, and so that's why we'll come back to the thing here, and they're mostly all grouped by manufacturer. So this is a set that is all Da Vinci. This is actually Denise's Earth Friendly Da Vinci watercolor palette. I've just wanted to spend some more time with this palette. I really like the color choices. It's very earthy based, and so I wanted to do some more work with it, so that's why this is in here. I haven't used it too much, but I could put any of my different palettes, just depending on what I'm working on. So even if I had this here, it can go on here and actually still go, and I can actually still put another one over here. So I could actually bring two pastels and 1, 2, 3 technically watercolor palettes if I wanted to. That would make the brushes a little bit more complicated. I'd have to figure that out a little more, but I don't really intend to do that anytime soon, so I'm not too worried about it. So I still have this space here that I can put some things. I may get a smaller thing of tape that can go right there and free up some of this area for higher things, because you really can't go above that thin mark. So there are smaller things of tape that I might get, because then again this frees this area up for bulkier things. Like I wouldn't mind having a water bottle of alcohol as well, and things like that. So that's certainly something that I might tweak down the road, because I have that empty space there. But right now I have the Denise's earth colors in here. I have all of the brushes that I use. These are probably more brushes that I need, but they're my favorite brushes. They all fit in there just fine. I obviously have that open space. Would this fit there? No. Unless that would open this up, but no. So that goes there. This again, pastels, and it kind of snaps down. It's not super snug, but once you slide this in on top of it, the pastels aren't going to go anywhere. And there's foam on either side of these, so we'll see. I did not have pastels in it when I traveled with it the last time, so we'll see how those do this next coming time. So we have that there. Over here I have my spray bottle. I spray water before I paint. I spray water while I'm painting. I am always spritzing and spraying, so having a spray bottle is a necessity for me in terms of paint. Tape is a necessity, whether I'm pastel painting or watercolor painting. I am taping, as I said, my paper to a board, and so that's a necessity. I am not this I haven't fully worked out. So I like to mix paint on ceramic. It's my favorite way to mix. And I've gotten a couple plastic ones, and I didn't have a good way for me to sort of magnetize them down. I just haven't found the perfect mixing palette. I think what I might look at is a small, they have the butcher pans, which are ceramic coated metal pans, and I may try to find a smaller one of those and just have that to use. That's kind of my next step to look out, but at least for now this gives me some mixing. I just would have to wipe this out more. This is smaller of a mixing than I would like. I just don't really like mixing on plastic, so that's caused me a little bit of problem. But for now, this is my solution. I have a pencil in here, I have a fine liner in here, and I have a kneaded, now I have a kneaded eraser for sketching and things like that. I don't do a ton of sketching on my watercolor paper in terms of, like, I might put some loose outlines, but if I'm sketching something that's more detailed, I generally sketch on my iPad, print it out, and then transfer it, you know, draw over. That way I don't like to do a lot of erasing on the watercolor paper. That changes the way that the water acts on the watercolor paper. And so I don't do a ton of sketching directly onto watercolor paper, but I do once I've sketched that out. My iPad would always be with me. So, but still, sometimes I am blocking in like horizon lines and things like that. So I've got that there. I always use salt. In fact, I need to fill this up all the way. I use a lot of salt in my watercolor painting, so a jar of salt is a necessity. This is my Supreme. Most of my palettes are either this type. They're these skinny metal. These are my favorites. You can get these on Amazon, and I just love them. Like this is my Daniel Smith. So this is probably my most used set for sure of watercolor paints. But what I did is I had taken this one that says Supreme on it, and I made sort of my ultimate set. And this has favorite colors from all different brands. So I've just kind of I went through my whole collection of tube paints and pulled out sort of favorite colors of all different kinds of brands to have. And so that's what this is, and I thought, well, that's a perfect one to have in here, because it has a little bit, and then whatever specific palette that I might be using, like right now the Earth Friendly Da Vinci, because I'm just interested in working with that one right now. So I have that down here. I could probably get my brushes down here if I end these, because this is quite deep, and I could reduce my brushes down. I really only use a couple brushes all the time, so I could reduce that down, probably put those over here and be able to get to pastels if I wanted to. This right here is a water, so I have a hook that goes over the edge of the box, or it can hook over here, wherever, but I would say I would probably hook it right in the front, and it holds, so that it holds your water container there. What I was searching for, because I do like to have multiple water compartments, I don't like to, because I do watercolor paint, I do need fresh water. So this has 3 pieces, and I don't remember what brand this is. I'll have to look. But I saw somebody using this, and I thought that's exactly what I need, because then I have 3 compartments, which I should have. There we go. Put that out there, and so then I have clean water, dirty water, and kind of clean water if I need, right? Obviously I can dump all this and put more water in here, but I do like to have multiple compartments of water, and this allows me to have that, but still be really compact and be able to fit in here. So that was something I was really happy to find. I looked a little ways to find exactly what I was looking for this, and it fits perfectly in here, and I could slide something in here. Again, if I got a smaller thing of tape, I might be able to slide that in there, but that fits down in there with the hook that goes around for bigger boards to keep it from the wind from blowing it. So that all goes there. So I could, I've got room to, well, let me show you. So let me put this stuff back. So the intention is, let me pull this out. So the intention is so that I would be able to say, again, this is really not hard to put in, but just when I'm trying to do it on the camera. So what I can do here, if I'm just watercoloring, then I don't even need to pull this out. But I can have my pastels here. I can have, again, even with that pastels in there, I still have the bulk of this. So watercolor paints are there and quite secure, and I have my mixing thing. Again, if or I can have it like this, just depending. I do like how I want to have it there. I kind of swap, just depends on what I'm up to. So I have those 2 pads there, so I can have pastels out, I can have watercolor palettes out, I can have a paper towel scrunched up in here. I would fold up some paper towels and stick this here, or else they would just be in my backpack, right, with my water bottle and things like that. So but I have the space on here because I do like to have I do like to have a piece of water watercolor paper because I'm wet, going in here, dabbing, doing this. I'm using a paper towel all the time, so it can be kind of crunched down and tucked under there, and be able to have access to that there. So I can have both my pastels out and have a watercolor out, which is kind of what I was trying to achieve. Obviously, if I was just watercolor painting, I've got all kinds of room to throw all my brushes on here, and things like that. So it's quite versatile. I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth over what size to get, but because what I was trying to achieve was again, more of like a studio in the box, I wanted to make sure I could fit all of these things in. And down the road, if I find I'm doing tons of backpacking, obviously I can get a smaller thing just for running around. But let me put this back because I wanted to show you salt back in here. This fits in here. Again, if I can find a way to move that over there, this opens this up for some bulkier items as well. But right now, oops, put my eraser in there. Right now, everything that I need fits in here. So I'm not, not worrying about it. And then I can also, let's say I want 2 stacks of pastels. Obviously, even if I had my biggest metal tray, that can go here. These are my biggest metal palettes, and I can always have my Daniel Smith, these are magneted really strong, here. And I could actually, right now, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 watercolor palettes and pastels. But if I had 2 sets of pastels, boxes of pastels, I would still be able to get 3 watercolor palettes into this box. Again, I don't really need that many watercolor, although I'm tempted, this time around I'll probably do this and see how that goes in terms of, it's very strong. So I think this would be perfectly fine. I can also, again, put a bunch of paper towels right here. I'm having folded up and ready to go there. So I've got room on top of that. I did have this, but it doesn't, it doesn't really fit anywhere, and I don't need it, so I had to make a cut on that one. So there we go. This is sort of everything that I need, and then some, perhaps, in a studio in a box. And so I will let you know. Again, I have taken this with me, but it just didn't work out for being able to do any painting at the time, so I haven't actually used it like on its tripod. So I'm hoping to remedy that soon, and I'll let you know how it all ended up working out. But as of right now, this is everything that sort of my studio in a box, and we'll see how it turns out. So I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.